6-cylinder, as is the Zodiac alongside it. Mk1 Zephyrs 6. There's a little Pop 103. It is the Ford Corsair. We've got a couple of examples over here. And there is a Capri 280, one of the Brooklyn cars, one of the very last of the proper Capris. And this also has a very natty set of wind deflectors on it. I remember to bring my glasses index of registration numbers 1938 to 1951. What a fantastic sight it is. Escort RS Cosworth Sierra V6 Consul from the Sweeney TV series.
For 100, Nick.
With a bit of support.
Mind my toes. Well, hi folks, and welcome to the Old Classic Car channel. Now in the morning I am off down to Gaydon, the British Motor Museum, for the All Ford Rally, and as the name suggests, there should be a huge turnout of classic and maybe a few vintage Fords turning up. And a little birdie tells me, if the information online is correct, there should be quite a large turnout of those, the old V8 pilots built 1947 to 1951. So I'm really looking forward to seeing just what other pilots are going to turn up. How many other Ludlow green examples will there be? How many black ones? Will there be any of the pickup versions? Or maybe even one of the woodies? Who knows? Well, good morning folks, and we are down at Gaydon, the British Motor Museum, for the All Ford Rally. There seems to be a plethora of interesting vehicles here today, a feast of Fords. And we begin just over the way there with a particularly tempting lineup of Mk2 Zephyrs and Zodiacs, so let's go and have a closer look at those. And what a lineup we do have here, headed up by XWS 153, stunning, just off white Mk2 Ford Zephyr, complete with white wall tyres no less. What a cracking looking car. 6-cylinder, as is the Zodiac alongside it, so pretty much the same power plants. But the Zephyr was sort of the mid-range car, the first of the 6-cylinders, and the Zodiac was the top of the pile. But to drive, I imagine, very, very similar indeed. Yeah, what a great pair of classic Fords to open our day here at the All Ford Rally. Yeah, isn't this lovely? Let's have a quick peer in here. Immaculate red interior. Yeah, it's just... There's going to be a huge variety of Fords here today, I can just feel it. I haven't been here before for this particular event, so I'm really looking forward to this one. But isn't that Zodiac? What a cracker that is. And you can see how the grills are similar but slightly different. The Zodiac is that extra piece just on the top there below where it says Zodiac, compared to the Zephyr over here, which just has the regular horizontal strips on it. But otherwise very, very similar. Often the Zodiacs were two-tone paint finish, but this one's all over black. And what a beauty that is. And next to that, a convertible version of the Ford Zephyr Mark II. Wow, isn't that? That really is quite swish. If we were going to use the name Bobby Dazzler today, it could well be for this particularly fine looking example, with some lovely badges on the front as well, so we will have a closer look at that in a moment. But yeah, oof. Perfect for a lovely sunny day like this, and the weather is set fair as well, so we're hoping for an excellent day. But there's some lovely badges on the front of there, look at that. This is one of my favourite of all the old car badges. This is actually slightly later than the one we've got. This is sort of like a plastic infill section. But yeah, the British Caravanners Club. Isn't that fantastic? And an advanced driver first class over there next to the RAC. And also the Automobile Association, an organisation which I have had call to phone up on more than one occasion this year already. completing this quartet of fine Fords. Another example of the Mk2 Ford Zephyr. No doubt we'll see some of the 4-cylinder Consuls here as well. But this lineup of 4 magnificent 50s Fords, they're all powered by the famous straight 6 petrol engine. Now, if memory serves, there are meant to be quite a few Ford V8 pilots here today, which is good news because, as regulars to the channel will know, I am quite fond of our old V8 pilot. Ours is a 1950, but I believe there are quite a few here. I'd forgotten all about this until a couple of days ago, but I believe there are plans for quite a good turnout, so we will keep our eyes peeled for the pilot section as we walk around here at the British Motor Museum. And here, facing these fine Mk2 Fords, are many Ford Capris, and I'm sure we're going to see quite a few of these here today. Let's just have a quick amble around here. We've got an RS 2600 on an M, very nice too. And another 3000 over here, quite an upmarket version of the Mk1, vinyl roof, a V6 engine under that long swoopy bonnet. Of course, the Capri name has recently been reinvented, attached to a modern EV, but probably less said about that the better. We'll just carry on along here. We've got a 1600 Mk1. Let me know in the comments if you're a fan of your classic Fords. There should be a bit of everything here today. I imagine there'll be quite a few modified Fords and quite a few stock ones as well. But yeah, a real variety of early Capris here today, which is good to see. Yeah, definitely quite a good turnout of old Fords here today. It's a one-day event, this one, down here at Gaydon. Oh, great stuff. Look at that fantastic looking car. Much better than the modern version, I suspect, and I think most people watching this video will probably agree. Windows open, so let's have a peer inside. Now, I'll try and feature as many of the old Fords as I can. Obviously, being the old classic car channel, we will prioritise some of the older cars, but well, yeah, we'll try and sneak in just a little bit of everything just to give a flavour for this all Ford rally here today. And we appear to be in the Consul Classic and Consul Capris corner. So I'll have a quick scoot around here, but look at this. How original does this one look? This one looks like it's been pretty much on the road since new. 674 UHW, original registration plates, that's good. So this is a 2-door Consul Classic, complete with some very natty looking wheel trims on this one. We like a bit of that. We also like these wind deflectors as well. 2 pieces, Perspex, so you've got this bit here, and there's an extra little bit here, which you often don't see this bit here actually. So that just keeps the wind off. Yeah. Quite an original looking car. I wonder if any of you guys and girls watching this particular video remember having one of these, or maybe your parents had one of these. Let me know in the comments what your Ford memories are. Obviously, we've had 1 or 2 Fords over the years. The V8 Pilot at the moment, and the Sit-Up and Beg Anglia not long before that, and various little vans and pickups as well, going back to the 1980s. So yeah, this Consul Capri in 2-tone grey is particularly fine. I love that speaker on the rear shelf as well, very nice too. Yeah, how sleek is that? Apparently these were really expensive cars to produce. Great looking bit of kit that is. Look at this beast here, this mighty machine, the Mk4 Ford Zodiacs. So different to the Mk3 Zodiac that came before. The earlier car, of course, big fins, very much styling of the beginning of the 1960s if you like, but this was very different design with the much more soberly styled 1970s in mind. This one dates to the beginning of that decade. I'm guessing the fuel filler is hidden behind that centre panel there. Anyway, back to the Consul Classics and Capris. Got a 4-door Consul Classic here next to that green 2-door example that we were looking at just a moment ago. So there's the 2-door, and there's the 4-door version. Again, quite rare to see any versions of these now. It's on a particularly vivid pale blue colour. Very nice too. Next to that, a bright white Consul Capris, a two-door fastback Capris. Of course, this is the model that the Capri name first came out on before the Mark 1s came along a little bit later. Pretty wild looking interior, very American inspired, I suspect. Very, very nice. Lovely two-tone trim as well. Wind down rear windows as well. Just saw the winders for those. What a great looking car that is. There's a two-tone red and white example alongside that. We'll just amble along the row here. Another all-over red example over here. Very nice too. An all-over green car here. I wonder if we'll see that Hooper car that we've occasionally seen at some of the shows that we get to. A subtly modified Hooper variant. This one looks particularly sporty with a taco in the middle. Great looking car, so distinctive. We've got a two-door classic alongside that, so much higher roofline on these, the two-door saloon as opposed to the two-door coupe. I'm not sure which is rarer. This possibly is even rarer than the Capri. Another two-door classic there. Very, very nice too. Remains of an old sticker there. Window open. So it'd be rude not to have a peer inside. What a fantastic interior that is. It smells just right, that old vinyl smell. I spy some Ford Pilots just over the way there, so I know where they are now. Bright red one here on wire, chrome wire wheels, complete with knock-ons. So that's not something you see every day. And on the end here, another white two-door classic. Mark 1 Zephyr 6 purrs in. Mark 2 Cortina GT. No doubt there'll be lots of these slightly later modern Ford classics here, including cars such as this Sierra Cosworth and indeed the XR3i behind it. Or is it the carburetted XR3? They look pretty similar, but I'm guessing this is probably the injected car. And I guessed correctly for once. On dealer plates as well. Pretty sharp looking car now, I think. Obviously back in the day they were everywhere, but now, yeah, you hardly ever see these compared to the abominations that the companies are making now. I mean, look at all the fantastic loads of glass area you can really see out of that one nicely, and compare that to some of the cars that are on sale nowadays. And this, well, not much needs to be said about these. These are incredible cars, so popular, so successful in, well, rallying and mainly touring car racing in the late 1980s. Amazing car. Now we are over in the Ford Cortina Mark II area, and I imagine we'll have two-door cars, four-door cars like this one, basic models. We'll see some 1600Es, no doubt. The executives, I think that's probably what we're looking at there, with a vinyl roof and the opening, the full-length sunroof as well. I'm guessing that's what we're looking at, and it's got the Lotus style steering wheel as well. Wood dash, lots of gauges. That's always the sign of one of the more upmarket cars in the 60s and the 1970s. 1600E over here, the executive. Yeah, just a bit of everything. We've got any Lotus powered cars here. Looks like we've got a few on the front row here, most with the stripes, but not all of them with the extra stripes down the side. Of course, technically these were the Cortina Lotuses when the Mark II came along. The early cars were Lotus Cortinas, that's how they were sold. And when the Mark II version came along, I believe these were actually assembled by Ford as opposed to Lotus. And they typically were called the Cortina Lotuses, the Mark IIs. But yeah, So some immaculate cars here. Look at this one here on an H plate, bonnet raised. Yeah, lovely. It's got an extractor like a tubular manifold on this one. I don't know if that was an original thing, or I mean, Fords have always been tuned and modified. Yeah, the all-important Lotus badge on the rear wing and twin cam on the back. Yeah. Some lovely cars here. Any V6 Savages, I wonder? How clean is that? Some beautiful examples here. It's not often you see one of these at a show, let alone two, and I particularly like actually this one without the stripe on it. It's a lot more subtle, that one, I think. I wonder if that was like a dealer option at the time. Maybe someone who knows their Cortinas better than I could comment in the comments. Be interested to know, did they all come with stripes? Was that a standard thing? Was this sort of a no-cost option perhaps? Just a little bit more subtle, a bit more of a Q car, or a sleeper as you call them now maybe. Yeah, fantastic examples here today. And there's the all-important Lotus twin cam engine. Classic Fords are still pouring in. There's a little Pop 103. Now, if ever there was a forgotten Ford, post-war Ford maybe, it is the Ford Corsair. We've got a couple of examples over here. Two-door Corsair GT here in a lovely fetching shade of dark green on some pretty special looking wheels. This one on a C plate, that tells us this is 1965 registration. Yeah, very, very neat looking car, just a little bit bigger than the Ford Cortina Mark 1 that was also on sale about this time. But yeah, again, roomy four-seater manual gearbox. Yeah, really, really neat looking car. So rare. Yeah, if you bought a rough one of these, you would really struggle to replace the interior now. Yeah, what a beauty that is. I love the tacho again. Lovely period tacho just down there. Yeah, so as an alternative to one of the Cortinas, I think the Corsair's got a lot going for it. Next to that we've got a four-door saloon version in grey over here. Wow. Yeah, these would have been everywhere back in the 1960s and well into the 1970s, but now hardly ever. The only time I ever seem to see Ford Corsairs is when we go to the big show at the NEC in Birmingham every year. Usually get a good turnout on the Corsair Club stand, but most of the shows we go to, very, very few. This is an early one. Consul Corsair. It was badged up at the time, just like the early Mark 1 Ford Cortinas were actually the Consul Cortinas, so the early Corsairs were badged up as the Consul Corsair, presumably as a nod back to the Mark 2 Consuls of the 1950s. There was never a Mark 3 Consul, I don't think. Really neat to see these two Corsairs here today. One example a four-door and the other the two-door. Just down from the Corsairs we have Mark 1 Ford Cortinas, and no doubt a few Consul Cortinas here. We've got a Cortina, Lotus Cortina Mark 1 here. It's a fairly early one, pre-Aeroflow, slightly different style grille. compared to the later Mark 1 that's alongside it, one of the Aeroflow cars. You can always tell those because the Aeroflows have got these ventilation pieces in the rear corner there, unlike the earlier car. We appear to have a Fiat Spider of all things.
All those people obviously realised it was worth hanging on to.
I don't know if you can see this pretty well on that, but
There's another one here hidden by chairs. Again, immaculate condition. Next to that trio of lovely Mark 1 Lotus Cortinas, we have a Cortina GT, a two-door Ford Cortina Mark 1 GT from 1966, and that looks really, really nice. Slightly lowered, slightly wider steel wheels, perhaps maybe from a Lotus Cortina. Very nice too. Cortinas to Cortina. Classic Ford run there in 2022. Handsome looking cars, I think these are. Next to it, the Mark 2, the replacement for the Mark 1. Another Ford Corsair over here, this one on mini light wheels, again four-door, just like the grey one we were looking at a moment ago. Very nice colour blue with an off-white roof, old English white, and again fantastic interior. It's almost like new. How can this be a thick end of 50 odd, 55, 60 years old interior? It's just incredible. There's a little very compact V4 engine under the bonnet as well of this one.
Someone had it in.
I'm not sure I'll get a chance to go in to the museum itself here today, but there is a separate video which I will link to at the end of this one. In 2023 I came down here for a classic lorry event, and I did find time to go and have a quick walk around inside the museum, so there is a video for that. The main museum here at Gaydon, and also the reserve collection and the Jaguar Daimler Heritage Trust, which is housed in that swanky silver building over there. There are also separate videos for that here on the channel. Again, I'll include a link to that video at the end of this one. What I have noticed today, there are many, many Ford Capris here, row after row. So I'm sure they're going to be Mark 1s, Mark 2s and Mark 3s, including some of the last of the line, the 280 Brooklyns. This is a 3-litre S Capri 2, so that's quite a rare old bird, and there's a 2-litre S Capri 2 alongside that. I'm not sure if I've ever seen so many Capri 2s in one place before. So we'll have a wander down here. Again, let me know in the comments if you have any memories of these cars. There's another 3-litre. Bit tail happy by all accounts. Didn't people used to put like a bag of cement or something, or a paving slab in the back, just to sort of keep the back end in check when going round roundabouts in a spirited manner? I'm sure I've read about that somewhere. Got another lovely Mark 2 there. Got an RS Turbo in the lineup here as well. Yeah, we'll just carry on down here. Some 2-litre cars, some 3-litre cars like this one. And a particularly noisy helicopter coming over. And here, a very clean Mark 1 1600 GT, no less, about 1971, I think. Pesky helicopter. Just look how much room there is to work on that. How easy is it to get it? Spark plugs. Change a dynamo, nice and easy to get at. Hoses, so easy. The accessibility is one of the real benefits of running an older car like this as opposed to something more recent. We've got a 2.8i over here. We'll just skip around here, don't want to interrupt. 1985, a 2.8i V6 turbo. So I think there are various Capri clubs here today. This one has a Chevrolet badge on the front, and that could be because it's got a huge V8 shoehorn under the lengthy bonnet. And there's still plenty of room to work on that one, even though the engine is significantly bigger than what would have been in there originally. And we'll just continue along the row here. If your car is featured, please let me know in the comments and say hello. Here we've got a Belgian registered left-hand drive V6 Capri here. Before we go to the Mark III Cortinas over there, we'll just carry on down here, down Capri Row, or rather Capri Rows. There's a C-Reg Laser, 1985. There's a T-Reg there, about 1978. Another Laser there, that was one of the limited editions. That one dates to about 1984, originally supplied by James Edwards of Dudley in the Midlands. Another Capri Laser, different colours were available. This jet black, and there is a Capri 280, one of the Brooklyn cars, one of the very last of the proper Capris. That's an 85 example alongside it. We'll just carry on down here. Sierra Cosworth, of course, on a slightly earlier registration, I suspect. Another Capri 2, this one with 5.6 badging on the side, so I'm guessing there are many modifications under the bonnet of that one. More Capri 2 action here on a very original looking example on the P-plate. Doesn't look like it's ever been restored. Much modified here, broad speed, perhaps modified Capri Mark 1. Now that does look a bit special. There's an RS 3.1 alongside that. What's the story with this one, I wonder? Certainly looks pretty purposeful. There's a big wing on the back as well. Let's go and have a quick look. The broad speed Bullet. Broadspeed, of course, was a very well-known tuning organisation at the time. Let's have a quick peer in here, hopefully no one's in here. It's even got an 8-track player in the middle of the dash there with Slade 8-track. Definitely a rare beast, this one. It's got one of those rear window louver type things on the back. How rare is that? The broad speed Bullet. Apologies for any shadows and reflections today, but it is very sunny. Oh, what a treat to see that. I've never ever seen that one before. And here is that super original Capri 2 gear alongside it. Proper preservation job, this one. And it was the Capri 2 that introduced the full opening hatchback on these as well. All the Mark 1s, if we have a look at this Mark 1 along here, they just had an opening boot lid and the rear window was fixed. As you can see there, with the advent of the Mark 2, which came along in the mid-70s, you had a full opening hatchback, so that was a lot more practical compared to what came before. But whether you preferred the styling of the early car compared to the later one, well, that was a very subjective thing. You can clearly see how the Mark II styling was influenced by the Mark I. Slightly smaller rear windows here, same shape pretty much, but slightly longer on the Capri 2. Of course, that was carried through to the Capri 3 or the Mark III as well. So yeah, real variety of classic Fords here, some modified, some standard. Pretty serious wing on the back of this 2.8i here. It's on a Y plate, so early 1980s, about 82 or 83ish. We're getting ever closer to the plethora of pilots just over in the distance there. I'm looking forward to having a look round there. A well-travelled Granada over here, a Polish registered Ford Granada no less. Here's the third row of Ford Capris. I think what we'll do is we'll sort of finish this side over here. There's some nice side valve Fords over there, and then we will go in the direction of those fantastic V8 pilots over there. If Gaydon had been a little bit closer to base and I'd done a few more longer trips, then maybe we could have brought ours down here, but it wasn't really on to drive it down here this morning, and since my tow car has been sold, I don't actually have any method of towing a trailer, so it wasn't really an option to bring ours down here. But I'm certainly looking forward to seeing the ones that did make it here to Gaydon today. And here we have a Mk1 Ford Capris for sale, no less. How clean is that? It's immaculate. The pilots are getting closer, but look at this, my first love when it comes to old Fords, the E83W, and look at this coach-built woodie example. Wowzers, how eye-catching is that? I've owned quite a few E83Ws since the late 1980s, but I've never had a woodie. I did help a friend of mine retrieve a woodie once, mind you, but it wasn't this one. But isn't that beautiful? This intriguing little car on the end here is a Seaver. This was a kit car based on Ford Pop mechanicals and running gear. It was one of these that the Doctor Who, John Pertwee era of Doctor Who, he used to drive around in one of those, the Seaver. But yes, here's that lovely E83W. What a fantastic looking vehicle this is. This is a Fordson badged example, later ones from sort of the early 50s onwards. They were badged up as Thames, and they also had like a little Thames badge on the side of the bonnet. Oh, yeah. What a lovely little vehicle that is. Note the two starting handle holes on these. And the reason for that was that these were produced in left-hand drive and right-hand drive format, and the engine, it's like semi-forward control. So the engine is sort of set back halfway into the cab, which does compromise the legroom for the passenger. This one, because there isn't a back of a cab like there would be on a pickup, the seat has been mounted further back. But the driver's footwell goes down there, but the passenger doesn't have that luxury. So the engine is offset on the right hand drive, the engine is offset to the passenger side, so the starting handle hole. So on this example, if you were going to start it on the handle, you would use this one here, and you can see it's been turned over actually a little bit on the handle, whereas this side never gets used. Whereas on the left hand drive, when the driver would be sat over this side of the truck, the engine would be over this side and it would line up with that hole. The very, very early E83Ws, when they were only sold here, only had the single hole, but not long into production, when they started thinking about making left hand drive versions, they did the double hole grille. So that's, if you saw one with just a single starting handle hole, you know you were looking at a very, very early example. But yeah, this is beautiful, coach built one-off. So this would have been supplied originally with... Oh yeah, this would have been supplied...
E83, have you?
No, I haven't got any of them now.
Have you? You sold it?
Yeah, it went, that did. But yeah, just admire it. So this would have been supplied with just the front bit above the screen, wouldn't it? And then chassis cab, yeah, that's it. So this is all Ford. All this that you can see here is the original Ford. And then, do you know who did the coach work? You don't know who did it? No.
I wish I did, really.
Yeah, it's great, isn't
I
it?
wish I did know, did it? I mean, they are rare now.
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah.
What I like about it is the interior. The back is fabulous.
It is lovely, isn't it? Nice and airy as well, isn't it? Yeah. You know, because the vans can be a bit gloomy, can't they, inside? Unless you have windows. Yes. Yeah, but no, it's a treat to see this one here, isn't it? Very, very nice indeed.
And obviously everyone was different because
this
has got the two doors at the back, and this makes a nice...
So you've got a drop-down tailgate, and you've got, but the upper tailgate is split. So the top half is side hinged, and then you've got the drop-down bit down here. So that's really novel. That is. I've never seen anything like that. Proper china. We're drinking out of proper china today. Of course, yeah. Nothing but the best. No, this is beauty. This is. Right, well, next to the E83W, we have a great little Ford Prefect here, the 100E, the 4-door 100E. All the 4 doors were Prefects, and that one looks super original, the original speckly paint on it, just how we like them. Well, I say we back at OCCHQ, we do love a bit of original There are one or two V8 pilots moving over there. I think there is a bit of an arena somewhere. So we'll check that out a little bit later. Another Prefect here in a very fetching shade of mid-blue. And here, the Sit-Up-and-Beg Ford Pop 103E. This one's got chrome bumpers on it, which is something that the earlier E494A Anglia had. You can hear the Model A just running over the back over there. But yeah, isn't that clean? How many people watching this video remember having one of these, perhaps as their first car even? Little 1172cc side valve 4-cylinder engine. These were produced throughout the 1950s. They came out in about 1953, and I think they soldiered on to the 59, if memory serves. Very much based on the pre-war Ford 8s and 10s. This is slightly earlier than some because it's still got the opening vents on the scuttle. The later ones just had sort of like a... Oh, look at this Model A. I'll just interrupt myself momentarily. And this also has a very natty set of wind deflectors on it. These are chrome and glass. These are very whizzy. Apologies for the reflections of yours truly. Yeah, very neat. Yeah, so the Popular was pretty much as basic as they came. You didn't even have a boot handle. You just used to have like a little T-handle, and you'd pop that up, pop the T-handle in there, twist it, and then open the boot that way. But what is neat, they still have these hinged number plates. So if you needed to carry a larger load and you ran with the boot lid, because it's hinged at the bottom, you ran with the boot lid open, the number plate would hinge down like that, and then you'd still see the number plate. Yeah. Very immaculate, beautiful example that one is. There's another one alongside it here, different colour, slightly different badging. This has got the red background on the pop badge. It's been fitted with extra flashing indicators.
I'll put a little bit of water in before the pack.
About 7 years, I think.
Always great to see the sort of more affordable end of the market cars still with their original registrations, because so many of the cheaper old cars have been bought just to be split from their original numbers to satisfy the vanity personalised number plate world. And I always think it's a shame whenever I see a registration like that on a modern Kia or something like that. I always think, what car did that registration number start out on? Sad, I know, but I think it's a real shame to split an old car off its original registration number, its original identity. So whenever I see cars on their original plates, it's just, yeah, all very heartwarming. Right, let's carry on down here, and there is that Ford Model A, 3.3 litres these were, big side valve 4-cylinder engine, very torquey engine. Very nice, available in all sorts of different body styles, open tours like this one, 2 and 4 door sedans. There's the Model A pickup, and then slightly larger again was the Model AA truck, an example of which we used to have until just a few years ago. Ours was 1930. This is probably similar age, sort of 28, 29, 30, something like that. It did change slightly over the years. Lovely old vintage car. These are so popular in VSCC events. Really good, torquey, lusty engines, reliable, still with very good spare support as well. So if you're thinking about dipping your toe in the pre-war car world and an Austin 7 is just a little bit small, you could do a lot worse than buy a Model A. There's a bit of cloud up there. There's nothing on the forecast to say rain, so hopefully it'll just blow over. Anyway, let's go over to this row here, and we have more examples of the small side valve Fords, headed up on this particular row by a super original 100E Anglia. Wow, where's that been all these years? The 2-door Anglia. So you had the 4 doors, the Prefects, and the 2-door Anglia. And then when the Sit-Up-and-Beg 103 Popular went, the 2-door 100E became known as the 100E Popular. Proper oily ragger, that one. More Capris over there, blimey. That must be the most popular of all the Fords here today, I think, the most numerous. Right, let's carry on down here. Another 100E Anglia, somewhat modified, subtly modified, at least from the outside. Some pretty hefty looking steel rims on this one as well, so that looks neat. Fords have always been modified. And then here we have the Thames 300E with a fetching pair of no-tech blue spot lamps on the front, and again original reg and number plate. So yeah, that's lovely to see, and what a great example that is. I do have a soft spot for little old vans and pickup trucks. Another Ford Prefect here. .300E van, a 103E Ford Pop, the 1172, like the one we were looking at before. Looks like it's got the original tax disc. It's a very original looking car. Fun dabby dozy. And this is a rare one. I think this one, now what model is that? I can never remember if we're looking at a 7W or a 7Y with this 3-slot grille. I'll double check, I can never remember which one it is, but it's a fantastic little 2-door Tourer, no outside door handles. So the door handles are in here somewhere. Part Bakelite dash as well. At least with no roof on it, we can really see the interior appointments of these pre-war little Fords. The Ford clock. What a bonny little car that is. First glance I thought it was a little convertible version, a roadster version of the Prefect, but it isn't, because there's one of those who lives not too far from where we are back at base. Okay, we've got a modified Pop there. A little Fordson 500 weight van over here. Many years ago I dragged one just like this out of a barn over in the Peak District. And these are great, these are. So many of these have been hot rodded, but it's nice to see ones that haven't been got up that way. Still got the original little Ford 8 engine in, badged up as a Thames. So this was the E494C. Got another original tax disc in the window. There's that little side valve engine, the Zenith carburettor, all nice and simple. So you got the fuel pump down the bottom down there, with a little manual priming lever on it, so you can pump up the fuel in the morning. It comes up there, through there, and into the float chamber there. No air filters on these, just this little plate to stop you dropping your false teeth down the inlet of the carburettor. Little 4-cylinder side valve engine, the dynamo mounted on the top there, so it's all nice and easy to get at. Very tall radiator on these. No water pump as standard either. Some of the export vans and Pops and such like, they did come with a little water pump that was driven off the fan belt, but the UK market cars and vans didn't come with a water pump as standard. You just relied on thermosiphon, literally heat rising, and that kept things cool, and it worked surprisingly well. Still got the original 6-volt dynamo, dated 1955. You can just see the date on there, January 55. Yeah, it's lovely to see an unmolested van. So quite often you see the spare wheel mounted on the door, unless it's on the other side. Very nice too. An immaculate mid-blue 103 Pop here. Very, very nice. It's got the earlier, possibly Anglia even, but earlier I think, slightly different hubcaps with the shiny bit in the middle and the Ford script. I think that was a pre-war fitting. And look at this, another wonderful early Ford 10. Again, I can't remember if I'm looking at a 7W or a 7Y, but these are seriously rare little pre-war cars. You can see where the styling of the Ford Pop came from, but there are lots and lots of subtle differences on these. Let's just go around here and admire this one. The difference mainly is around the back. The back looks more like the sit-up and bake Prefect, because you'll see the Pop has the hump for the boot area, which you can see here. The earlier cars didn't have such a hump. So yeah, this is a really rare bit of kit, this is. Look at that original supplier's dealer transfer.
But it did turn a bit chilly. Did it? Yeah, it did. But
I just weren't confident in it, and I thought,
So carry on down the row. Another great 103E. Now I've seen this one somewhere before, slightly modified. It's got some period tuning bits on it. It's got Bellamy 15-inch wheels on this one. These were popular with special builders back in the 1950s. You can see the drillings in the wheel. That's very different compared to your standard Ford pop wheels. It's got a vacuum tank added because it's vacuum operated wipers on these, so that tank just helps smooth the supply of vacuum to the wiper above the screen. It's got a period heater installed into the top hose. That's pretty cool. It's got aquaplane cylinder head, the aquaplane super head, aquaplane inlet manifold, twin SU carbs. I used to have a setup like that on an old Ashley. Yeah, really neat. So lots of period tuning mods, which I approve of a great deal. I love period tuning gear on these old cars. Got a great little Anglia there with, I think, the Prefect shiny headlight surrounds. Another Prefect here. 103E, great turnout of 103Es here. This is the Anglia E494A. So this is the forerunner of the 103E, and we can compare and contrast slightly. So this is the earlier car. These had bigger headlights, a few extra bits of trim, the chrome bumper as opposed to the painted bumper of the 103E. These had smaller butler lamps compared to the larger ones of the Anglia. You've also got these little sort of shiny trims around the bonnet sides, which you didn't get on the cheaper later 103E. But the 103E did benefit from the 1172, the 10-horse engine, as opposed to the 8-horse 933cc engine that fitted in those. So, yeah. And these are the lovely Bakelite trim. If you remember the pale grey Anglia we had until not that long ago, you may remember seeing videos showing the interior of ours, which was just like this. The 103E just has a plain metal dash. Yeah, let's carry on over here. More Capris along here, but I think now is the time to start looking at some of the pilots over there. Look at this gorgeous Model A pickup. Oh, now when did I last see one of these? I think we saw one of these at one of the Goresworth Hall meetings we went to. There's one just like this. Yeah, what a fantastic thing that is, I would. I've always loved the Model A pickups. That is just phenomenal. I would very happily have one of those back at home, maybe one day. Anyway, let's go and admire this spectacular turnout of Ford V8 pilots. Wow, it's like deja vu looking at this Ludlow green example here, Mk2 Yeah, fantastic. Lots of big woofly V8, flathead V8 engines. We like this a lot. Let's just have an amble around and just soak up the view of all these V8 pilots. Oh, the familiar burble of the 3.6 litre Ford V8 pilot engine. That is a sound that is very familiar to us back at OCC HQ. What a magnificent car. EJT 678, this particular example. Yeah, there's loads of pilots here, which is great to see. They didn't change much throughout production. The grills did change a little bit between the early sort of circa 1947 cars and the last built in, was it 51? But by and large, they stayed pretty much the same. They were based on the pre-war Model 62, to which a sort of more anglicised front end was fitted, but the back end is very similar to the American-built Ford V8s of the 1930s. A darker green example here. We'll have a wander around the other side over there. But look at this glistening in black example here. I would like to get one of these. Yeah, isn't that just lovely? And look at that high-level brake light. Very nice detail indeed. We've got a maroon example just burbling into view. LOC 898. What a fantastic colour that is. Lovely. Oh, and this one appears to be starting. There's burbles everywhere you go. Fantastic. And there's a familiar scene. I've had my head under the bonnet of ours. Look at those shiny heads. Chrome cylinder heads on this one. Oh, let's have a peer around this side. What have we got? Oh, a Dagonite battery, I like that. What are we looking at round here then? We might have done, yeah. I think we did, yes, that's right.
I'm always watching your stuff.
Oh yeah? Oh dear. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's good, it's good. I like it.
Yeah,
you do a good
lovely,
job.
lovely, smooth burble. So what's with the chrome cylinder heads?
It was like that, brand new.
Was it?
We think it was wooden Lambert. There's a little, just in there.
Let's have a quick peer inside. Oh, lovely Bakelite
panel.
Oh, I see, like a little... Can we get in? Let me just have a
I think
look.
it's Hermes, the messenger guard.
Oh, I see,
the
the little
only
supplier plaque there.
Car that I've seen it on. But the seats are original.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? Well, this feels very familiar.
So I'm the second owner.
It's just the second owner,
I bought it in 78.
78?
Never.
Blimey.
I think this is the first time it's been out of Essex.
Is it? Blimey.
We've only just crossed the border.
Yeah, I guess, but isn't that fantastic? Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, this is a glorious Pilot with these extra chrome bits under the bonnet. It's even got a chrome starting handle. Now, the question is, where did this start out in life? So if we have a look at the number plate, we see LLM 915. Unfortunately, today I remember to bring my glasses index of registration numbers 1938 to 1951 because I knew there'd be quite a few pilots. So let's see if we can find the LLM entry and see what it says in here about that registration number. Right, we've got the LLM page here. So LLM London August. I hope you can see that. August 1950 onwards. So yes, it's quite a handy little book this. I dug this one out for the first time in years last night. It was tucked away on the shelf with lots of old glasses guides. Most of the glasses guides cover values of cars. I've got various ones going back to the 1930s through the 50s and onwards. But this is particularly handy because it covers registration numbers. So yeah, a bit of info there on this glorious Pilot. Right, so let's carry on down the road. An example in white here. We've got all sorts of colours. We've got a bit of music playing in the background, so we'll have to try and talk over that. But look at this. We have to have a look at this pickup truck. How fantastic is that? It's been a while since I saw a V8 Pilot pickup. I remember years ago I came to one of the commercial vehicle do's here, and there used to be parking all up on the hill up there, and I remember a couple of V8 Pilot pickups up there, but this is going back maybe 2004 or 5, something like that. Another beauty in black here. Fantastic. Look at the original leather trim in there. It's got modern seat belts. Yeah, otherwise pretty much the same as ours. Even smells the same. A lovely smell of old leather. And yeah, these were brought out in 1947. And that's a glorious pickup. And here we have a Ludlow green V8 Pilot. Oh, how nice is that? I wouldn't mind one of these actually. Where can I get some of these from? These little marker things. They're very useful because you can't really see when you're parking in the garage. Fortunately, it's got a bench seat, so when we're parking ours up, I can slide across and have a peer down and make sure I'm not going to clobber the wall. But some of these markers would be quite handy possibly. Although I'd always be worried about someone walking past and just grabbing it and trying it. So yeah, maybe not. But yeah, there's some really big no-tech lamps on the front of this one. Very nice. How nice to see all these Pilots together. We're getting nearer and nearer to the PA system, so I apologise in advance for that. But we'll try and feature as many of these Pilots as we can. Another slightly paler green one. Ooh, right, there we go. More black Pilot goodness. Fantastic to see all these here. Another example, this one in dark blue, and now that is a very fetching colour. I like that one a lot. Again, no-tech lamps on the front as well, but yeah, lovely, lovely. And I've seen a number of these now with the French Marshall lamps. I think the first time I saw that was at Tatton Park. There was a car in the auction area at Tatton, and that had the Marshall lamps on it. And, I didn't know that was a thing, but clearly it must have been. Oh, very nice. And on the end here, a mid-blue example. Again, with one of those marker things on the front wing. Very, very nice. Right, let's continue round here, past the young lady singing over there. We've got a beautiful V8 here. So that's not a pilot, but it is a Ford V8. Absolutely stunning. So we'll keep going down here, past this little speedster. And this fantastic... Oh, look at this, an Allard. This also has a side valve V8 engine. I hope you can hear me okay. We'll just zip along here. Got some Model Ys here, right-hand drive. So is this an original UK car? Looking at the registration, it could possibly be a later registration, in which case maybe this came in from Australia or South Africa perhaps. Got a left hooker 4-door sedan there, another 4-door here. OV3109, very tasty. Oh, back to pilots, that's what we want to see. Lots and lots of V8 pilots. Another beautiful example in black. We'll continue down the row here, and we've got a maroon example. That's very fetching. This is the one we saw reversing just a moment ago. So yeah, they were only built for about 4 years, these were. Again, it's got those big no-tech lamps. I have got one of those in the garage. I have been pondering fitting it to the front, so I wouldn't be the first. I do like that V8 badge. It's the commercial vehicle AA badge, as well as your regular car one alongside it. Yeah, very nice too. Oh, great to see pilots. You don't see many of these at shows. We've got another shade of green. I'm not sure if that's an original shade, but it certainly suits it. It really does set off the chrome. And again, they've all got these big no-tech lamps. Was this a Ford option, I'm wondering? Maybe it was, I don't know. Yeah, they've all got these big no-tech lamps on. I'm beginning to think this was a Ford dealer option. But yeah, this shade of green really does suit it. Yeah, pilots as far as the eye can see. And this one is a blue, very, very original looking blue. And this one, well, it's identical colour. Probably slightly better paint finish than ours. Ours isn't too bad, but it's not perfect. But this looks really, really nice. Again, Ludlow green. What a treat to see so many of them together in one place. Yeah, so these were built really, it was just an interim model until such time as cars such as the Mk1 Zephyrs 6 was ready for production. And when the V8 pilot went out of production here in the UK, the V8 side valve engine was dropped from the range. The biggest engine cars of the cars that replaced these, they just had the big straight 6, your Zephyrs and your Zodiacs. Right, let's carry on down here. I might have to have another look at that Model A pickup before we're done. Right, we are very much focused now on the Ford Model A. So we've got several over there mixing it with the V8 pilots, and here a whole row of them. What a fantastic sight it is. Some are right-hand drive like this one here. Others left-hand drive like this one over here. And you can see the fuel filler cap on the scuttle because the tank is formed under there, and it's a gravity feed to the single carb which is down this side. Maybe there'll be one with the bonnet up somewhere, but yeah, it's just a gravity feed from the tank down into the carburetor, which is round here somewhere. Yeah, lots and lots of Fords. And that little gauge right at the top of the instrument cluster is the fuel gauge. Literally that is peering into the back of the tank. The tank is under there. Oh, lovely, lovely car. Very well supported for parts. A two-door coupe there, and a two-door saloon. Super original. How original is that? That is spectacularly original looking. Another two-door coupe here. Very nice. YWG 490, Ohio 1931. So that's where that one's coming from. And here, a Ford Model Y. We're down to the smaller Fords again. This is a short rad Model Y with the straight front bumper and a shorter rad. Later examples had a longer rad. The starting handle hole moved a bit, and then you had to have like a bit of a dip in the front bumper. This is the Ford with the 8 horsepower engine, the engine that also went on basically to end up in the post-war Anglias, the E494A. Well, this is about 32 or 33, I would have thought. But I do love the shape of the little Model Ys. And this rarity, this little drop head here, is a Ford Model CX. Again with the no-tech lamps on the front, very nice too, but this is a seriously rare little car. This was the Ford 10, the 1172cc power car. So whereas this had the 933, the 8 horsepower, this was the 10 horsepower. Horsepower being the rating for tax purposes, not brake horsepower. And alongside that we've got a CX saloon. So this was a revised version of the Model C, which was very similar, which came before. Now you probably can't hear me now, so I'll probably stop talking and we'll just have a look along this line of Model Ys and Model CXs.
Just a little girl, I asked my mother, what will I be? Treat her nice, make Trinidad like parrots, work you for the Yankee dollar.
Another stunning example of the Ford Model CX Tourer here. Like I said before, these were the 10 horsepower cars, pre-war, about 1936 or 37. Very stylish, very curvy little cars. I just think they're beautiful little cars. These and the Model Ys are just beautiful. Much earlier in time here, I'm guessing this is the original Ford A. I could be wrong, it's a bit before my time this really. But I know there was a Ford A very early on in the 20th century, so perhaps that's what we're looking at here. We'll carry on down here, another Model Y here, long rad, with the long rad next to that. Both two doors, or Tudors, as the Americans like to call them, but these were British cars, but very much with American-inspired styling. Great Model T there, one of the brass rad cars. And slightly more recent now, we are approaching Cortina Alley, the Mk3 Ford Cortinas. We've got some books for sale here. And some more goodies here in front of this GXL, very original looking GXL actually. Yeah, that looks like it's never been restored, a 2-litre car. Everything £2 each. Anything pilot related? Probably not. 50p box, we like that. Some useful bits there if you've got later Fords. Right, let's carry on down here. Still not sure about this weather, so we'll just try and get a bit of a wriggle on. All those pilots over the back there, what a treat to see them. And look at all these Cortinas, Mk3 Cortinas. That looks a bit purposeful. Cosworth V6 on throttle bodies. I know someone who approves of those. Alright, let's carry on down the road. Lots of various models, some with a twin headlamps, some with a single headlamps. The GXL in a very fetching shade of metallic green there. Look at this. So what's this, a 1600 Mk3 Estate? How original is that? That is, I do like that. Not the poshest by any means, but that's probably my favourite out of this lineup of admittedly very, very nicely turned out cars. But somehow, maybe this is possibly one of the rarest of all the ones here. And I do like that a lot. And on the end here, another one of the slightly more upmarket versions. But what is this? A Super Speed V6. Bit of info in the window. Built by Super Speed Conversions Limited, 1973. Pretty cool. Nice badging. 3 litre V6 badge on the front wing. There we go. There's all the blurb. Today here at Gaydon there is a huge contingent, a huge turnout of very modified Fords. Of course, Fords have always been hot rodded, modified, tuned, personalised. We've got some cracking examples here now. Obviously this channel isn't really geared towards custom cars, hot rods, that kind of thing, but I do like to try and feature a little bit of everything. And when modifications are in period, then yeah, I do like, and look at this. I'm not into roof chops, but you know, some of these rat rods I do like the look of. Some of these are original steel bodies, some are like fiberglass copies. And look at these beauties here. These are really, this is very much how modified Fords, cars like it in America just after the Second World War, were being turned out. Very simple, cut back, you know, wings or fenders rather thrown away, souped up flathead V8s and go racing. Traffic light Grand Prix type thing, you know, of a Friday evening. Oh. So let's just carry on along the row here and just, like I say, we'll try and show a little bit of everything here at this old Ford rally. So there's a flathead V8, that's sort of an earlier incarnation of the engine that's in our V8 Pilot. And just like on the Pilot, the Dizzy's way down there. A bit fiddly to get at in the middle of the V, but if you go from underneath it's not too bad at all. Yeah. Lovely old style tuning gear, Offenhauser. Twin Stromberg carbs on this one. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of in-period tuning modifications. You can forget all your electronic ignition and fuel injection and all that unnecessary complication really for a road car. But in-period tuning parts, well, yeah, I'm all for that. So let's carry on down here, because the quality of the preparation of so many of these cars is just incredible. Look at the paint finish on that. Alright, let's go on this row now. Got a Jeep, wartime Jeep. I assume it's one of the Ford ones. I'm not very good at identifying Ford and Willys Jeeps apart. I'm guessing by the fact it's here today. Any clues on there? Ford GPW, there we go. And what do we have here? A little Trabant van. Well, it's not a Ford, but wow. Isn't that? It's quite an early one with those style of rear lights. They were different on the later, but this is 1965, the registration. A V8 Rover Auto gearbox. That's a bit of fun, isn't it? Let's carry on along here. A few more hot rods. I mean, just look how beautifully turned out that is. So what's this, about 1950 or maybe a year either side? That kind of time. Lots of V8 in evidence. Escort RS Cosworth, Sierra Cosworth. Escort Mexico, the 1600 GT. We've got a Model B hot rod there with a flathead V8. Got a variety of Model Bs along here.
A nice crease on the seat.
Again, another flathead V8 with Allard heads on it. And again, there's the Dizzy tucked away down there. Yeah, a bit of everything here today. Let's carry on. Like I say, we'll just have a quick look around here. We've got some modified pop action over here and a little Fordson van. Oops. And that is one eye-catching looking car. I do like that, that's really nice. And look at this, it's got the early pre-war bulbous lamps on it and the 3-slot grille again. The Ford V8 pickup over here. 100E popular, one of the last of the 100Es, quite late in production that one, about 59, 60, that kind of time. We'll just carry on down here, Fords, everywhere you look as you would expect. Mark 5 Cortina Estate, notchback Mustang, about 60, it's a 66 that one. The Granada over here, the Granada Scorpio no less. Purchased new Feb 1987 apparently from Bristol Street Motors. One of the earlier Granadas there. The Mark 4 Ford Cortina. And the souped up Model B and a pretty groovy step-side Ford V8 pickup there. XR3i, and next to that, another Granada. A Granada gear. Possibly with a leak. And this is the original Ford Consul, the V6 Consul from the Sweeney TV series. Somehow this has survived into the 21st century and in immaculate condition now. But yeah, who remembers watching this on the telly back in the 1970s?
Hey, well, a lot of people got into engineering through it, so.
So we'll carry on along here. Sierra Estate, the gear estate. The V6 power, very clean in there. A Mark 1 Ford Fiesta on an X plate, another Mark 1 alongside that. This one metallic paint, so it's one of the posh ones, complete with a steel tilt sliding roof. No such luxuries on this one. Is this a Popular or Popular Plus perhaps? And 1.1 GL. Complete with its dealer sticker in the back window. Ealing in London. There's the Rosas, the police spec Granada, much modified 105E. That's the first Anglia we've seen today, first of the 105Es anyway. Let's carry on down here. Bit of a variety of older Fords, RS2000, XR2, Mark II, another notchback Mustang, that's a 65. Another 65 alongside that. Modified 2-door 105E, Mark 4 Cortina. Escort XR3 or 3i. Cortina gear. Another angle box. Mark 1 Escort GT in black. Mark 1 Escort Estate. Make that 2 Mark 1 Escort Estates. Pretty cool to see those two together. automatic, that one. This is one of the posher ones with a bit of wood trim in it. Yes, a 1300 Super no less. 4-door Super, that's nice. A 1300 XL is alongside that, also 4-door. We have another Sierra here, Sierra Cosworth, Mark 1 Consul, so again, fairly early Mark 1 Cortina when they were still badged up as Consul, pre-Aeroflow. This one done it with a bit of motorsport in mind, judging by the roll cage. Mark 1 Lotus Cortina and an RS 1600i. Right, so we'll skip round the back of this immaculate Mark 2 Escort gear, Sierra XR4i, Mark 1 Fiesta here, complete with Rubik's Cube on the dashboard. I've got a Mustang Fastback now. I've seen some of the notchback cars. This is the Fastback, it's a 64. So that's pretty groovy. 4-door Mark 1 Cortina here. The Ford Orion, the booted version. In this case, the booted version of the Mark 4 front-wheel drive Ford Escort. So the Orion had the boot. I forget what this is. A Pinto. A Ford Pinto. Is this the one that sort of became a bit notorious for petrol tanks getting ruptured in even fairly low speed collisions? I've got a feeling it might be. Now, we've seen some modified 105Es, but look at this. This one looks super original. It dates to 1965. And it's still even got the original purchase invoice in the window. Central Motor Company of Leicester Limited. 3rd of the 4th, 1965. One new 1965 Ford Anglia Deluxe Saloon Ermine White with PVC upholstery. £562. That's a beauty, that is. A Mark 5 Cortina next to that. And here we have the Escort, the XR3, which is a forerunner of the XR3i. So this had a single carburettor, so a Weber. I've got a feeling these early cars, front wheel drive, the Escorts by this point in time. But the XR3i, when they put injection on, it became the XR3i. But these XR3s on carburettor are probably quite rare now. Okay, got a Sierra XR 4x4, the V6 power. Carry on down here, we've got a Mark II Fiesta there from 1984. Escort gear, a Mark II gear, 4-door saloon. Much rally prepared Mark II here. That looks pretty groovy, I like that. Proper wide mini-light wheels, the bubble arches. Yeah, looks very purposeful indeed. And a Triumph Renown. I wasn't expecting to see one of those here. This was at the... I came to the BMC and British Leyland Day here at Gaydon, same year, 2024. And there's one of these, probably this one, was here then. But I certainly wasn't expecting to see it at the All Ford Rally. But never mind. And here, Mark II Cortina Mark 1, probably a Consul again. Let's have a look at the badge on the front, yeah. This is a Cortina, it's a pre-Aeroflow one. As we can see, XR3i Cabriolet based on the Mark IV, the Mark II Escort, complete with natty stripes down the side. Is this a Harrier? I know that was one of the limited editions that were done that had stripes a bit like this down the side. No mention of Harrier, but yeah, it's very similar on the end here. Yeah, a very modified, but subtly modified 63 Cortina Mark 1 in a very, very nice shade of blue. Just carry on along this row, got a Mark 1 here, another Mark 1 here, 1300. Next, Timo Mäkinen and Henry Liddon rally car. That's a bit of historic rally history there. The East African Safari Rally stickers on it. That is pretty special. Look at these hefty guards on the front here. RS 2000. Oh, we'll just carry on along here. We've got an immaculate, probably a 1600E 4-door. Another one here in gold metallic, bronze metallic. A 2-door Cortina Lotus. Makes a change to see one in that colour scheme. Very nice. Got a gaggle of Cortinas over here. Cortina Super 1967. The Cortina Lotus there. Maybe that's one of the ones we saw before. I did see some of them moving around. A few up here on the back row on the banking. Ford Pumas up there on the banking. 1600E Crayford convertible version of the Cortina Mk2 GT is next. Now, if there was a mark that I wasn't expecting to see here today at the All Ford Rally, it is Jowett. And that is a beautiful Jowett Javelin. A little while ago I had one in that colour scheme. Incredible cars. These were built idle in Bradford by the Jowett Car Company. Now, is this a basic or is it a deluxe? I think this is a deluxe with that style of dashboard. Really innovative little cars these are. And you see it's got the little parcel shelf there, or little picnic shelf rather. You unclip that from the back of the front seat, and that panel there that you can see along there, that resides here under the back window. These were very advanced cars, came out in the late 1940s. Little boxer engine, amazing little cars. The radiator behind the engine tucked away right down there. So you can lift up the front of the grille that way for there, and this lifts out quite easily as well. This bit's only clipped in as well. But yeah, great. Really interesting little cars these are. They had all sorts of problems with gearboxes on these when they were current, and that was probably one of the things that saw off the company in the sort of early 1950s. The warranty claims were pretty numerous on these, but they were such advanced little cars, really, really neat and very stylish as well. Really aerodynamic shape. So the real quality little car. It's a shame that they didn't stay in business. But yeah, very nice. And of course there was the Jupiter, and alongside we have a trio of Jowett Jupiters. Same engine, rear hinged bonnet on these, so it's a little bit easier to work on. Yeah. And of course, I don't think there's any examples here today, but there was the Jowett Bradford van as well. But these saloons, the Javelins, I really like the look of these. Real quality little car. So there's the Jupiter. These were quite popular in rallying in the early 50s. Great looking car. Another green example next to it, KDA 678, and on the end here looks like a circuit racer version. I saw this one driving. I think it had been loaded off a trailer in the public car park, and it was just driving in. I heard this and it sounded phenomenal. Very groovy car. Look at the seat. It's a very large seat in a very small car. This one, the lovely original interior in here. Now, this is not just a Ford rally today here at Gaydon, because tucked away over the back here, beyond this quite an impressive lineup of Ford Pumas, has to be said, there is a Roots Group show as well. So there will be a separate video all about that elsewhere here on the Old Classic Car channel. So I'm going to go and have a bit of a walk around there now, grab a few clips, and that video will also be up on the channel before too long. And then, once we've done the Roots Group, we will return to Dagenham's finest. Off departs that fantastic little coach-built E83W. Also departing is the little 124 Spider.
Help you at the automat, then go home and go. Cartier. Time rolls on and youth is gone, and you can't find a love when you babe. Rhinestones, plus diamonds are a girl's best. Stars shining bright above you. Say nighty night and you'll miss me while I'm alone and blue as can be. The worries behind you. You're on dear, still craving your kiss.
Well, there's certainly a huge variety of classic Fords here today at Gaydon. What a treat to see them all. Wonder if any of these bits have sold. And yeah, one of the highlights definitely is seeing all these V8 pilots together. So we'll just have a final walk along the row and just send a nod of appreciation to everyone that's turned up today and their pilots. If I was a bit more organised and I'd done a few more trips, maybe we could have brought ours, who knows, maybe another day. But yeah, lovely to see all these pilots together in one place. Probably haven't been this many together since, well, I know there was an event years and years ago where quite a few got together, but prior to that, you know, it would have been a Ford dealership that had this many last together in one place, I would have thought. So let's just have a final quick look along here, admire the little old green car here just like ours, and this fantastic pickup, who can forget that? Yeah, it's just wonderful to see so many of these old pilots preserved. Like I say, these were built from 1947 through to 1951. Lots of them were lost through stock car racing, which was a popular hobby in the sort of late 50s, 1960s, and these cars really lent themselves to it. Big strong cars, big V8 engines, and lots of them were lost to banger racing or stock car racing, it was just called back then. So yeah, it's wonderful that so many great examples survive to this day. Yeah, so I'll just indulge in another quick walk around and admiration of all these V8 pilots. Now this is actually quite an early one, because it's Ford badged. Early on in production they lost the Ford badge and they went with the V8 pilot badge, is what you normally see on these. And the Ford badge disappeared. There are various theories as to why that was, but this is probably the only Ford badged example I've actually seen. And I know the grills did differ slightly on the earlier cars, but I don't know if I know my pilots well enough to know and be able to spot the difference. They all look pretty similar. This is a 1948 V8 pilot. We've got some of the history here. If you want to pause the video, you can have a quick read of the backstory of this one. It's got electronic ignition, which might be the system that I took off mine and threw it away. Beautiful example. There are wonderful examples everywhere you look. So this has definitely been one of the highlights of the visit here today. But yeah, it's a real treat to see this early badging. I've never seen this before.
The more this is more beautiful they get. This is
If you want to join the merry band of Ford V8 pilot owners, then here is your opportunity. I spy a for sale sign in the window of this one. Let's go and have a closer look, it'd be rude not to. There we go, rebuilt Mercury engine. Converted to 12 volts, good runner, temporary front wings, 2 new rear wings. Nice little project. Fettle the wings up, lick a paint, leave the rest of it as it is. You'd have a very nice usable car, I bet. Chassis are going to be solid as a rock. Get the wings looking something like. Yeah. Maybe a bit of headlamp alignment won't go amiss. And off you go. There's that gorgeous little Model A pickup again, left-hand drive. I'll have to come and have another ogle at this one before we finish for today. It's got a 1930 tax disc, left-hand drive, so presumably imported at some point in time. Oh, yes, isn't that just wonderful? Some Model A bits for sale. Well, I think we have probably seen most of the old Fords that are here today down at the British Motor Museum, and there's been a great turnout. Some of the cars very, very original, like this fantastic yellow and white Prefect, the 100E Prefect, or is it the 107E? It could actually be, because it's got the extra little dog leg on the front there, so I'm guessing possibly this is a rare overhead valve version with the engine that was also fitted to the 105E Anglia. But anyway, where was I? Yes, this has been a great turnout of cars, some unrestored as found survivor cars, some beautifully restored, others somewhere in between. But yeah, it's just been a fantastic turnout of old Fords, loads of Ford 8 and 10s, the Pops. Not so many Prefects, not too many sit-up and beg Ford Prefects, surprisingly, and just the one E83W, but there's been some wonderful pre-war examples of the Ford 8 and 10 as well. So it's been a real treat to see those. Look at this great little Pop, same colour as our Anglia. I think, is it fawn grey, something like that. So I think we'll probably begin to wrap this one up. If you're here and if your car is here, please pop a note in the comments and say hello, because it's always good to hear from people whose cars feature in these videos. Like I say, there is a separate video just about the museum over there, the British Motor Museum here at Gaydon, so I'll include a link to that one at the end of this one. Also to videos that show the contents of the museum's heritage, the reserve collection, over in the swanky silver building there, which shares space with Jaguar Daimler Heritage Trust, where all manner of wonderful old Jaguars and Daimlers can be found. There is a link to that video at the end of this one as well. So thank you very much for watching. Please give it a like if you like your old British cars and vans, etc. Please think about subbing to the channel, it really helps things grow. Give it a like, click that like button, click that subscribe button. Help support the channel in any way you can, that's fantastic, always much appreciated. Comments as always, really welcome too. What a great transit we have here, Mk1 Transit, and there'll be many, many more videos along very, very soon. So thank you so much for watching this one. Please check out the rest of the channel, and there'll be more videos along very, very soon. So bye for now. I think it's time for a cup of tea.
You may or may not know that there is this car loan scheme that in the world without seeing one. And it's a very admirable thing that Bob has done by continuing this show and also trying to get the support of the young people. So please, Bob, I'm not going to embarrass you, but give Bob a big round of applause for all he has done for this movement, please.
Thanks, Tony. We're just waiting for the Ford Model A to arrive, and here it is. Said earlier, encouraging the next generation of enthusiasts. A gentleman approached me standing next to this car. For 100, Nick. Welcome, Nick. Here's a
Well, I've got to say, when I first saw it in a advertised the.
Everybody needs a bit of help and a bit of support. I'm chairman of the.
Now here is one I almost missed, the Mk1 Zephyr 6. There haven't been too many Mark 1 cars here today, not seen any Mark 1 consoles, and just this single example of the Zephyr 6. Apologies if I've missed other cars, but yeah, what a treat to see this one here. And here was me wondering if there would be any Mark 3 Zephyrs or Zodiacs here today. Well, here they are, tucked in the shade offered by the JDHT building. Mind my toes. Lovely 6-cylinder Burble.
I never heard you.
Well, I came for the BMC and British Leyland Day here. Just about here there was a lovely little Triumph 1300 front wheel drive. And this weekend there was a lovely example of the Commer Imp van. This one registered in 1966. And that looks to be super duper original paint on that one. Yeah, that's a lovely little van. So straight, the sides as well. Isn't that great? And look at this over here, also in the car park, an Anglia Deluxe. You can always tell the slightly more upmarket ones because the base spec ones of these had painted surrounds on the backlights, none of this Mazak shiny chrome, and fixed rear windows, whereas the Deluxe and the Super had the opening rear windows like you see here. Yeah. Again, very neat looking little car. Anyways, I think it's time for a brew and a sit down.